Do it again.
Mic check, 1 2 1 2.
Mic check, 1 2. Mic check, 1 2. Again.
Mic check, 1 2.
Too close.
Oh.
Drop it down slightly because I think I noticed last time it is a bit more powerful than I think.
Mic check, 1 2. Mic check, 1 2.
Mic check, 1 2. Good evening, all. Welcome to Disqualified Dads. Here I have a father with me who wants to share his story and put his truth out there. He has barely survived the family court system, but he hasn't gone unscathed. He has lost contact with his children. Right, Emine, Assalamu alaikum first and foremost. Welcome to Disqualified Dads. Where do you want to start? Firstly, when's the last time you saw your children?
So it's coming up to 1 year now. Basically, it's been 1 year. 1 year to on the 21st of May. It will be 1 year. So
for no contact, you've had no contact for 1 year.
I've had no contact for 1 year. That's right.
Right. Okay. How did you get there? Let's
well,
get into
it's
it.
all started off during the time of COVID. So I had contact with my children, unsupervised as well.
Start off a little bit before that. So just get your story out there a little bit if you want, obviously,
Yeah.
comfortable with it. So you got married.
Yeah.
What happened?
We
Talk maybe
were
about how you were maybe,
Yeah.
you know, what you told me about the civil war, how you coerced into it. You know,
Yeah.
because what happened, look, this is the thing with most young men. They all just think, let me get married. Then they get told, well, let's just do a civil registry. They think, well, what's the big deal? They do a registry. A few years go in. They've lost their home. They've lost their kid. They have no idea of like how this happened. Do you understand? Like we were young men once with these dreams and ideas of happiness, yeah?
Yeah.
So to try and get the full picture right, they try and touch on a little bit on the start, from the start,
Sure.
if you could,
Yeah. So I was married for about, say, 5 years. And in that time at the beginning, after we had our religious ceremony, 3-4 months later, she started pressuring me to get the civil marriage, something that I was very uncomfortable with. And also calls started coming from my in-laws at the time, her mum and dad, to do the civil marriage, and they were pressuring me when I went across to their house, as I would do at times. They were saying to me, it's really important, it's necessary, X, Y, and Z.
Basically, they sold it to you.
Yeah.
Like Muslims.
And that conversation wasn't just once. You know, I was silent when they sort of approached that topic about it. They approached it again and again, and there was about 4 times.
Yeah, so what that means is, just for the youngsters who don't understand that, in the Asian community, that sort of language, that silence meant we can push more.
Yeah.
When you're too silent, as in you're too nice, it's a green light to say, we've got him, just probe him enough. He's a nice person, he's an easygoing person. And as you know, with our communities, that's called weakness. It's just seen as weakness. So basically, you fell for that ultimately by being a nice guy.
That's right. And I didn't really want to say anything against it, because ultimately it looks like you're being rude. You know, because if you sort of talk back, even in a polite way, even in an understanding way, it can unfortunately come they tend to have that sort of view, especially the older generation.
But basically, you came at it with what a lot of brothers fall into, is the respect angle.
Yeah.
They're elders, you have to be respectful, and
correct.
Unfortunately, that is effectively used against you.
That's right. And then so we did the civil marriage anyway. Going on from that, we had two lovely children. We've got 2 lovely children. I've got a daughter and I've got a son. So during that phase, we basically parted ways after, say, about 5 years. I had contact with my children, of course, and afterwards, what I realized.
So just to clarify, yeah. So 5 years, whatever happened, you guys both parted ways, not a problem. At that point, when you first parted ways, you had contact with your children, yeah?
Correct.
Now, how long ago was that contact there? Is that 2 years from here now, 3 years ago?
It has been now, if I look back, 3.5 years.
So 3.5 years ago, marriage, relationship ended, you parted ways, you had contact at that point.
Correct.
So what unfolded from there?
So from there, basically, during the lockdown period, I was still seeing my children, and she called the police on me.
Right. Before you go into this, so did you have an arrangement of some sort, as in agreed with her, or how were you seeing them? What does that look like?
So it was still very early days, for about, I'd say about 2 months. So there wasn't any particular arrangement. She's someone that's rather emotionally reactive, and so I wanted to keep things calm. It was early doors. I was just simply seeing my children, taking them home, and then I would bring them back.
No, but so how did you see them? Did you phone her and say, "Can I have them today?" How did was
Well,
that? What does that arrangement
yeah.
look like? Like,
Initially, I was the first few days I was knocking on the door.
so you just randomly show up, and she was happy to say, "All right, now that you're
Yeah,
here."
yeah. But randomly showing up, but at expected times. So, for example, after work, I would go. Maybe let's say 5:30. I'll knock on the door. They would know, and it wasn't at her. It was her family home, and her parents obviously would open the door and whatnot. There wasn't any problems like that in that sense. I'd take my daughter out, for example, and I'd come back. On the weekends, I'd come and take my daughter, and also it was another way as well. At the same time, I would provide for my children, as I do till today. Financial, financially, I provide for them.
Paying them some money and maintenance.
Yeah,
and stuff,
correct. So at that time, I would take their breakfast stuff weekly, and all the other bits that we would take for the children and stuff that's important. So I would do all of that, and then one day she threatened me.
Okay, so how long did this go? How many months? So 3.5 years ago, you parted ways. She went to her mum's with the kids. You popped in and out occasionally and saw your kids for how long? 2 weeks, 2 months, 3 months? When did the...
So we went our own way at the big, let's say in January, we went our own way, and the police call happened on the 4th of April.
So for 4 months, you had some contact, like unarranged contact, effectively, yeah? Okay, so carry on from there. What happened?
So basically, from then on, she threatened to call the police.
But did she say why? What triggered that?
She just didn't say as to why. She didn't give an explanation. And so I went out with my daughter as she wanted to go out. And the mother at that point was trying to prevent my daughter, she was taking out on my daughter, from going out. So my daughter would cry. She'd literally kick the floor because she wouldn't let her come out with me. And her own parents would say, stop doing that. It's affecting to her. It's affecting our daughter.
Okay.
And her granddad would come, give me the jacket, and I'd put it on her. She did that twice.
They were being sensible. Obviously,
Correct.
They knew the kids need to see their dad or going out with their dad, no
Correct.
biggie, and they were trying to stop her from behaving like this.
Correct. And so I went out, and I said, I'll be back later. And it wasn't a surprise to me that she had called the police, to be honest, because I just thought to myself, okay, you're going to call the police? If you don't do it today, tomorrow you'll threaten me. I thought to myself, if I go away, leave my children, tomorrow I come and see the children, you're going to threaten me again. So I thought, take your shot. If I'm honest, if that's the route you want to take it today. No problem. Okay. Because I hadn't done anything wrong, just simply coming to see my children, And my view was that we could hopefully come to an arrangement amongst ourselves. But she called the police. So then when I did come back with the police, when I did come back to return my daughter, the police asked me a few questions. And
so when you came back with your daughter, police were present at her house, yeah?
Correct. They asked me a few questions, and basically they got us together. They only asked me 3 or 4 questions. They probably asked us similar. And it was a male officer, female officer, and they basically brought us together and said, look, this isn't a domestic abuse case. This is a domestic case, as in it's a matter between us.
Yeah.
So we won't be coming back for that again.
So they made it, right, I see. The abuse element wasn't there, right? Okay.
Right. So that's what the officer said in front of us. So therefore, they walked away from the scene. And then I soon after left, but unfortunately my daughter was crying when I left because she still wanted to go out with me because it wasn't enough for her in terms of the time ultimately. And I just said to her, "Bye, mummy," because that's what I would call my daughter and stuff. And you know, I felt really, really bad inside that I had left my daughter like that, obviously. And ultimately, the truth is, she got her younger brother and her sister to drag my daughter upstairs, um, and just so she was away from me. I, to be honest, felt really powerless. When I look
Yeah,
back at that,
helpless. Yeah.
yeah, when I look back at that now today, I'm a lot more stronger in that sense. And
So yeah, because what it is when we say these things, yeah, for someone who's say got no kids, number one. So if there's youngsters watching this who have got no kids, for those who have their kids, because when I was with my kids, it's very hard to imagine a day where until you've experienced it, where you think, why can't I see them? They're up the road. Why is there so many hurdles and barriers and that emotional turmoil? See, I can when you're talking about it, obviously here I can see it, yeah, because I felt it. But this is what I want the youngsters out there and people to understand that when you feel helpless from holding your children in your arms, you can't do anything, and you see your children crying. People don't understand the emotional, mental, psychological earthquake, volcano that is going on inside. Do you see what I'm saying? I just want people to understand what we are dealing with. These are your children at the end of the day. Do you know what I
correct.
mean?
The truth is, I was always under the, I always had this thought in my head that women have the children, men don't usually see them, X, Y, and Z. But when I reached out after that
But
that
do you know why you thought that? This is the thing that I question now. I think that many men thought that. We were conditioned to believe that in this society because this whole situation, until you enter it, you realize it's hiding in plain sight.
Yeah.
It is in plain sight, but for some reason you cannot see it because it's so well hidden and covered up.
Yeah. So, I mean, I knew I was at a disadvantage as well, don't get me wrong. But just
With the
how bad, as in because I'm a man. Because I'm a man, because I'm a father.
sorry, when you said you were disadvantaged, so you said what as in the family court, you knew the law was
The,
slightly biased.
the law, the family court system, what it is, the system is designed like this. You've got the politicians. It's like a family. Look
No,
at
but
it.
how did you? Okay, but
Yeah.
you didn't know that at the time, did you?
I, I, I had a feeling that it was like, I wasn't 100% sure of the ins and outs, but because I had worked very close by to a family court building,
Right. Okay.
I have seen judges I have spoken to, um, and they have openly told me how broken the family court system is. But it never really sunk in because it was many years earlier that I had met certain judges, and I never thought I would see myself in a position going to the family court.
Just want to clarify, yeah, you heard it from the judge's mouth, yeah. The judges obviously off record are saying themselves that the system is broken.
Correct.
Carry, sorry, carry.
Sure. So what I then did is I reached out to what you call a family support worker. And
So just to touch on, sorry, I keep cutting in. So you knew about this, you knew men were disadvantaged, this situation had happened. So at this point, you'd lost contact because you didn't want to go back to the house, make a scene if she started playing up, yeah?
correct,
So you reached out to.
the family support. Because before the police went, sorry, I should go back. Before the police went, they asked me, have you made any arrangements and stuff like that? And so I said to him, like, in terms of like via legal system, no, but in terms of family, we've spoken. We're both gone our own way. But yeah, nothing he got. And then the male officer and the female officer, he said, no, I understand. Like he said, no, he said, have you tried to maybe just make some calls to her before you come? I said, I did, but unfortunately she doesn't pick up the phone. When I do make the calls, nor does she respond to the calls. And he just said, I understand. And he walked away. And I feel that he's either got, they've either got enough experience of call outs being made unnecessarily for the police just to come and just tell the father maybe to go away. Of course, in this situation, fortunately for me, they didn't tell me to go away.
Yeah.
Yeah, they knew the, they could tell it was basically another marriage or a relationship had broken down, and basically, in a nutshell, the mother has kept the children away from their father.
I think you were lucky to have that experience with the police, and
Yeah.
normally just stick the father in the van and drive off.
And I agree with you, because I feel when I heard them say the words, "we won't be coming back for this again," straight away indicated to me in my head that had she made a false allegation,
You'd have been arrested.
they would have arrested me.
Mm.
And since then, I have also spoken to general police officers, and they have even said, if an allegation is made, a serious allegation, then for safety reasons, we have to take that parent away.
No, they don't. It's only if that parent's a father or a man. When that parent normally is a mother,
Correct.
they're very reluctant to believe
Yeah.
that the father was a victim. He has to demonstrate, prove, unless he's got a gaping wound, right, and he's gushing out blood, yeah, they won't believe it.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. So sorry, I mean, to the father. That's right, or a man. And so basically, what I did is I obviously got in touch with the family support work, asking them for their help.
Right.
And they basically said to me, "Look, what we'll do is we'll get videos sent to you." So first they arranged a video call, and so she would call as and when she basically felt like. She would control the times, the dates, and the mother I'm referring to, and the mother would tell me, "Are you free to see them now?" Knowing fully well, she would say at times, let's say Monday to Friday, 11 a.m. She knew fully well I was at work.
Mm-hmm.
But had she set that time with me, I would have made that time, because
Right.
I can control my work a bit more,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So then,
So there's a tick box exercise to say, look, I am giving him a time and an access, knowing full well you're not available, ultimately. Usual games.
correct. And so what she did is she did, I think, one call or two calls at max anyway, video calls we're talking. And my daughter would say to me, "Come here, I want to look at you, come see me." She was only 2 years, 8 months at the time, but I had a brilliant relationship with my daughter, involved, we had a loving relationship. My son was a lot younger, so he wouldn't be able to express as much in that sense. But my daughter was very talkative, and which is lovely, and I enjoyed every single bit of it. So anyway, and what she did is she basically slapped my daughter on the call. Now, I had evidence of that,
Mm-hmm.
and took that as evidence to the court, but I'll come to that at a later point anyway. And so basically, she used language such as "stop chatting," SHIT.
So to you or your daughter?
To me.
On the call?
Yeah, on the call. Because she started, I did say to her, "Did mummy hit you?" Because she did, and I wanted her to confirm that as well. Some people might say to me, "Oh, you could have phrased that question in a different way." Fine.
Mm-hmm.
But I knew I had evidence regardless of that. And it was from that smack, my daughter started crying, and she was distressed, is what I can say. And she kept on calling me, saying, "Dad, Dad, Dad," repeatedly.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, once again, I felt helpless. I then did tell the family support worker. The family support worker said to me, "Well, I wasn't there and I didn't see it."
Right, okay.
Okay, so
Funny that.
now I thought, where do I go? It's pointless anyway. So what happened soon after is she then told them, "I'm not happy to do video calls anymore." So they then said to her, "Okay, send him every other day videos of the children."
Right, okay.
Now the children are young, they play with their toys every day,
Mm-hmm.
so she's recording. And so basically, soon afterwards, I had they told me as well, the family support worker, as I was talking to them, "Well, look, let the social workers know."
Mm-hmm.
What's that? And I thought to myself, well, I'm dealing with you. Why do I now have to So
Go
it
to a
took about,
social worker. So they
yeah,
referred it to the social worker.
they told me to get in touch with it, but I was thinking these family support workers are social workers.
All right. Okay. I
Yeah,
see. Yes.
but they just do, another job maybe or whatever it might be.
Another title.
Yeah, another time, exactly. So I just thought to myself, well, if there was outside of the home here and a police officer was going past, I wouldn't expect the police officer to say squad or call the army. I'd expect him to, connect with whoever he needs to connect with, because he's in that line of work in
Yeah.
terms of safety for the public, X, Y, and Z. So anyway, what happened is then it took me, I don't know why I took my time about it, probably 6 weeks. And
Just to clarify, just to try and get this, for 6 weeks, then technically you're going back and forth with these different departments. You've got no phone call, no access. No phone call, no access. 6 weeks went by.
so video calls were happening.
They were still
Sorry,
happening
no,
then.
so my mistake. Apology. Sorry, let me correct. Video recordings were being
Sorry,
sent to
right.
me.
Recordings were being sent, so you had no real contact.
That's
with it,
right,
other
correct.
than watching videos of your daughter.
Correct. And that continued for another 2 weeks, videos. And because obviously the family support worker advised me to get in touch with social services. Social services had obviously got in touch with the mother. What the mother then did is, it's clearly obvious because I got an email from the family support worker saying, we have advised the mother to stop sending you videos every other day and to send you videos of the children once every week.
Right, just stop right there. Let me just digest what he's just said. We're going to go to a quick break, yeah? Right, we are back from a short break. Brother, now carry on, yeah?
Yeah, so...
Sorry, hold on. Let me just sort that door out. He left the door open. Just hold fire.
He's left.
I told him, just leave it slightly ajar, yeah? I said, leave it slightly ajar. Like that. Yeah, he's from Coventry, innit? Would you expect?
Yeah. I'm assuming you're going to edit, rewind back kind
Sometimes
of
I
thing.
leave this sort of stuff, man.
Yeah.
This is what it is.
Yeah.
Apologies, we had a guy there. We asked him to just leave the door ajar, but he's from Coventry. He doesn't understand too well. He just left the door wide open. Right, listen. So where were we? Social services. Sorry, yeah. So you had every couple of days footage of your kids sent to you, yes?
Correct.
Which then the social services, did you say? Who stepped in and said, no, make it once a week?
So it was once again the ones who told her, which is the family support workers, who told her to send videos every other day. They told her to send it to me now once every week. And what that was, the timing of it was clearly a direct retaliation, because I know her well enough. So what she's told them clearly is that, no, I don't want to send him videos anymore. So what they've said to her is, instead of sending it once every other day, send it to him once a week, because they knew.
So basically, they're, as I keep mentioning, like,
Yeah.
you know me, I've mentioned on previous videos, you've seen some of my stuff there. They're in on it with her. These are social workers, social services who are meant to care about children, yeah?
Correct. And so I challenged the lady. I said, can you please explain to me how it gets too much for two very young children who play with their toys every day and are not being asked here to do a role play? They're simply being recorded. They don't even know they're being recorded. How can it be too much?
Exactly.
And
That's what I'm trying to understand.
and I said to her, this is clearly a direct retaliation of the fact that, of the advice that you gave me to tell social services of the fact that the mother had smacked my daughter.
But the social services have aided and abetted the mother in sort of reducing, not that you had contact, but reducing footage of your children.
Correct.
And this is the people that are in charge of helping us and our children. Not even, forget us, no one's here to help us, yeah? But these are the people that are here to help protect our children, yeah? Carry on. Sorry, carry on.
So, I obviously, I mean, it was a case of getting the one video or not, basically. So I had, I mean, what else could I say? I made it a very, common sense clearly wasn't common practice there. I mean, so anyway, so we went from there, it being once a week. And it took all of this, went on for about 7 weeks. It took them 7 weeks to say to me, Emran, look, we can't really help you, basically.
I keep getting lost. This Department of Social Services.
Yeah, basically they're family support workers.
Sorry, the family support
Yeah.
workers who are obviously
Yeah.
social workers.
Yeah.
So the family support worker are actually have no support whatsoever.
Yes, correct. I wanted to call them female support workers, to be honest, you know.
They are mothers support workers, basically.
Yeah.
They're not families.
Correct.
They are support workers for mum.
Correct.
Yeah.
So we went on from there. When they said to me, look, we can't help you. Your only way is to the court and seek some legal advice. So, okay. Got in touch with the solicitors, and he said to me, what we'll do, we'll write to the mother and we'll take it from there. Because ultimately, if the mother isn't willing to engage, what we have to show to the court is that we've made attempts to try and come to an agreement before we go to the court.
Right, okay. So it's another tick box exercise that costs you money.
Correct. Yeah? Okay. Cost me £500 to set up the initial conversation, which lasted less than 1 hour, I can tell you, and a letter which was pretty much drafted already. It's a draft copy.
Okay, so
my name, mother's name on it at there.
So basically, same old story, and I presume that was the first sum of money followed by lots of sums of money that you've split with, thinking you'll get contact.
Correct.
So let's carry on from this. Sorry.
Yeah. So what happened is initially the solicitor said to me, I will send her an email of that letter, which he did. She didn't respond. And a week went. He then said, okay, I'll send her a recorded delivery this time. Again, no response. 2.5 weeks later, what do you know? A response comes saying that she's got a solicitor acting on her behalf. Okay. She had been given legal aid.
Right, okay.
How I knew that is because my solicitor confirmed to me she's been granted legal aid.
How comes?
The reason behind it is that what she did, and I didn't understand at the time, but when I look back, is she had planted and plotted this all along. And what I mean by that is there's a couple of points here. We were both working full-time, even though we had children, and we had arrangements. So in the morning, I'd feed my daughter, for example, and take her, and she'd go and pick the children up.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so she basically, around 3 months before we separated, she withdrew literally £1 under £100,000 from her bank account in cash.
Hold on, stop. So in the 3 months interim period where you going back and forth to the house, she withdrew 100 grand cash out of her account.
Just before that. Just
prior to the relationship ending.
Correct.
Right. So prior to you guys going your own way, she was all one step ahead. Basically, she was 2-3 steps ahead already.
Correct. She withdrew that money. Obviously, I didn't know, and to be honest, I didn't really care either, because it's her money.
Good luck. Yeah.
Yeah. Do what you want. I never needed her money, nor did I ever ask for it. Anyway, so what happened then is it went through, obviously, the solicitor, and then there was a bit of going back and forth. She was all of a sudden making allegations, and what she said is about through the solicitors. Sorry, just to come back to it about the whole legal aid. So she took the 100,000 out. Not only did she do that, she obviously, to claim legal aid, what you had to do was, I think you had to give them 3 months bank statements to show that you're not in a thing.
Okay.
And because she, at that stage, what she decided to do was take a career break, it ticked the career break box. What she also did is obviously showed them that she doesn't have enough money in the bank account. So then she also qualifies. And what she also did is she got a letter from the GP to say she's got mild depression.
Right.
Now, the reason why I'm convinced that she took that money out in cash is because even had you showed them a letter from the GP, even had you showed them that you tick the two boxes basically, other than the financial box, and if you had more than 100,000 in your bank account, there was no way the legal system would give you legal aid.
Yeah, so she defrauded the system basically
Correct.
to secure legal aid, and classic situation. She's taken legal aid, and this is my point, away from genuine victims,
Correct.
effectively, which seems to be the common norm with a lot of these cases. Sorry, I mean, I just want to apologise on behalf of Disqualified Dads that we can't offer you better biscuits than custard creams. Yeah, are you serious? Did you bring custard creams? Go on. No, I don't care. The public will see. You know what? Get the camera. We're gonna expose this. Guy's heartbroken. He's lost his kid. All he wants is a decent biscuit, for God's sake. Bring custard. Chuck us the cookies, bro. Go. Chuck them over the. Yeah, it's still running. It's still it's recorded, bro. Yeah, this will be good. Just open these.
Yeah.
Right. So let's carry on from there.
Yes.
And have a cookie. Have a cookie. Let's carry on from there.
Yeah.
So she defrauded the system, effectively emptied her account. So basically, she knew if she did this before you actually ended and she started withdrawing, she knew all of this beforehand.
Correct. And whilst we're on the topic of the money there, what she did is, in fact, as well, through when she applied to the court for finances, she told the court that she was coerced into giving me the 99,900, which was the exact amount that she took out of her bank account to me. And she told them that I had said to her that it was to buy another property. And when I read that statement, I started laughing, because obviously you don't withdraw money in cash to buy a property.
Yeah, exactly.
It just doesn't add up.
So basically, look, the scheming, the calculating element to it all started way before she started shifting the finances, all in preparation for the separation.
Correct.
Followed by, obviously, broken contact leading up to the no contact, the abuse card element, securing the legal aid, and the ball is started rolling effectively. You're well into the system now.
Yeah. I feel that she wanted to, obviously, not only get the legal aid, but she also wanted to try and show that she should have a bigger stake in the property and things like that, because she hadn't paid ever a penny in the properties.
She hadn't contributed to the property.
Never.
She was working full time.
She was working full time.
Okay, so let me ask you a question.
Property was there before the marriage.
So let me clarify this for youngsters out there, because I was talking to someone today, some youngsters, and they have no idea about these things. Because in our community now, obviously you're from a Muslim background, so am I, from the Asian community, and as a man, generally, it is your duty effectively to provide housing, finances, run the house, and nothing wrong with that. I support that. All men should do that. But the thing is now, with our modern sort of women and modern women in our community, they all have work, they've got careers, and they come with that argument, like at the start of the marriage, saying, look, you need to provide, do X, Y, and Z. Most men are easy and calm, they just go with the flow. So they save their money, they've lived off your money, and you can't say that you weren't chipping, she raised your kid. You were both working, yeah?
Correct.
So you were both working, I presume your family was helping out with babysitting and stuff.
Correct, yeah?
So it wasn't like you were not pulling your weight. You were pulling your weight in all aspects, including all the financial aspects. Now it's gone the other way. She's taken her money and kept her money. And now she's gone against Islamic values to now take what's yours as well and to defraud basically you out of your finances, even though she stacked her own. And now my point is, a lot of sisters are presenting this Islamic argument before marriage, yeah?
Yeah.
When it ends, they keep saying, well, it's the law of the land, we have to take half of yours, or not even half, it's more like 90%, yeah? It seems when it comes to money, people only apply Islam to basically suit themselves, suit their financial needs.
Correct.
And none of our, I want to say it out there as well, all of our scholars and the religious leaders, you've heard it on Disqualified Dads first. I think most of them are sellouts. They have fallen into this narrative and they're also adding to the problem in the community. What do you think of that?
I agree.
Let's touch on that a little bit, just so
Yeah.
we can educate.
One thing I can say to all the dads or the men out there, even the females out there, one message I'll say to you is that tomorrow you can be affected. And how you can be affected? If you're a mother, you could be affected as a grandparent tomorrow, through if you have a son, or even today through a brother of yours. You can.
Well,
Be
that's what I'm saying. To all the sisters out there engaging in this, that are supporting this, or they think we're a pro man, or it's nothing like that. We are pro children, yeah. And to the sisters that have engaged in this, remember this: you have sons, nephews, cousins, brothers, and all of that. Those children now, if you got a nephew now who's 12, 13, 14, 15, yeah, another 2, 3, 4 years, it's not that far away. You've got a son now, say he's in his teens, early teens. He's only a few years away. And these millennials, this generation, you obviously know the journey. I know it. There's many that know it and survived it, yeah? There's many that haven't, that you don't even hear about. There are many that can, yeah? Will these children, the sons of tomorrow, yeah, will they be strong enough to survive this if they are exposed to the same system that some of these sisters have engaged in? Do you see what I'm saying? And these tactics.
I think it will. The system is getting worse by the days, and what the parents, namely the mothers, mainly the mothers.
90% of mothers that are doing this, yeah. Because
Correct.
90% of non-resident parents, just want to try and keep the facts out there, are fathers.
Yeah.
Only 10%, that's a 10% of mothers that are non-resident parents. And look, put it this way, for that 10% of mothers who are non-resident parents that are facing the same situation as I'm here for them as well. I support those sisters as well who have got caught at the other end of this as well.
Yeah.
So sorry, carry on with where you were.
Yeah. So what's happened is
Sorry, so you were saying the money, she withdrew the money.
She withdrew the money.
She was already scheming and planning.
Correct.
And you started obviously engaging with the solicitors back and forth. She's defrauded legal aid to suit herself. And she's trying to claim that she gave you that money that she withdrew at the same
Correct.
time.
And that is the first I had heard of it. First, I even knew of the amount of money she has.
Right.
Because
so this is what I don't get. So, this is what I meant to ask you earlier and I forgot, yeah?
Yeah.
During your 5-year marriage where you were together, yeah? Now, I've had this question asked a few times. Did you ever discuss finances? So you got married, you settled together, you both were. Did you ever say to her, look, you're going to pay this, this, and this, I'll pay this? Or was it just assumed and it happened? Did that conversation ever happen?
The one thing I'm very glad about, I will say to you, is she said to me, let's have a joint account. I said no. I said no. The one thing I thought to myself, I done the registry. That was something I never wanted to do. I was pressured into it.
You were coerced into that, yeah?
But I was not going to be, under any circumstance, have joint accounts with her.
Okay, why not? Why did you do that?
Because one is we weren't getting along, and two is I always felt there was the risk that tomorrow, if we had a joint account, she would say, oh, the money's hers, it's not mine, I've put it in X, Y, and Z. Then I would say, okay, well, let's look at the statements. And there's certain people you can actually sit down, even if you have your differences, you can actually talk about it.
Yeah, yeah.
She wasn't the type that I could talk to her about my differences with her, because of the fact that she didn't know how to communicate without raising her voice.
Without arguing.
Yeah,
I know the feeling, bro. I'm getting deja vu. Having flashbacks here.
So this was the problem. So I thought, to safeguard myself, look, you've got your money and we've got mine. We don't need to have a joint account, because there was no need, no real need. If you need to go in tomorrow, the way I see it is, if you do need to buy a car, for example, you can go to a showroom and you can give your cash and I can give my cash, half off there and then at the time, isn't it?
Perfect, yeah.
We don't need to have a joint account, so it comes out. No need for that. No need.
Yeah, all the youngsters out there, take note of that, yeah. Don't play the big man, don't play the hero. I'll provide and protect and all of that. That's been turned on his head. And unfortunately, especially in our community, sisters are very money-oriented. Sisters are very clever and smart when it comes to this. You demand, as I mentioned in a previous video, everything demand 50-50. If she's full-time working, a career woman, has a job, there's none of this business applies then. Yeah, people are using Islam to just to suit themselves. Demand 50% on the spot and have your own accounts. Carry on. Sorry, bro. Carry on.
That's okay. I would always say safeguard yourself, your own finances, and protect yourself, because
Okay, so what if some kid now says to him, this is what he said, that's not a marriage, how can you go in with this mindset and all of this? Because people generally don't think like that. What would you say to those people now?
now, as a Muslim, when we get married, before we get married, in fact, we have a system called mahar.
Yeah, I want to actually talk to you about that as well, yeah, because, sorry, I don't keep cutting in, yeah, which we're going to make a video of at some point, yeah, especially, obviously, you're from a Bengali background, yeah. I've learned, obviously, over these last few months of talking to a lot of people, that in the Bengali community, that mahar itself is a big business.
Yes.
It's a big business, and guys are getting fleeced for 15, 20 grand and gold and all sorts. I think we need to address that at some point on a later date, and snap this culture out, bro. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. It's the word business is what the Western marriage is. It's about property and wealth.
And
they call it the word security.
Yeah. Well,
that is exactly.
It's not just, well, the civil marriage is a financial contract. I was talking to someone earlier. In the legal terms, it is only a financial contract. It means nothing else.
Whereas you see the nikah itself is there for you to actually effectively have a family, to grow. But when obviously we all have our issues, our challenges, we break away. But when we do break away, we should go according to, which is the most respectful way of going, in each other's, you go your own way, I go my own way.
But look, as a lot of brothers discussed and mentioned, in our community, we want to lay blame.
Correct, yeah.
Egos, lay blame. And unfortunately, more with the women folk, is revenge and vindictiveness. But then I think that's all communities, cross communities. Like, I'm not going to cut in again. Go back to what you're saying before I cut it in about, before I cut in about the meher. You said there's something called meher.
Yeah, so it's there, that's spoken about, and that's obviously something you give to your wife, and ultimately that's what she takes as well upon divorce.
Islamic, look, that is obviously Islamically correct. So, whatever you agreed upon.
So therefore, that divorce factor is spoken about. So later on,
right, I see.
The shaitan doesn't come involved when it comes to parting ways. Whereas if you look at the civil marriage system, don't talk about what's your protection upon this and upon that. Mm-hmm. But because for example, when you get married, they read a statement to you, it goes in one ear, these words, they're 100-year-old statement or 200 years, outdated. Thou shalt be with you, deaf and whatnot, whatever. Whereas if you look at when you do that's something, okay, let's say you go to your local council or something, it's not done in front of a judge. Uh-huh. But when it comes to a divorce, what happens is it's done in front of a judge, online maybe nowadays.
Yes.
But the fact is, when you apply for the divorce, it's so clear cut. Do you wish to apply for finances? A box with a one-line statement.
So why ain't? Yeah, exactly.
Whereas on marriage, you will find, and you're signing the contract, it doesn't say, do you wish to connect your property, asset, finances? But there should be a direct retaliation. And this, for me, if you're not giving a clear direction to the people, it's like when you buy insurance, they sell you the world.
It's a scam. The whole thing's a scam. The whole marriage, a community marriage, a Western marriage, any marriage, marriage, from the way I see, once you've seen this, look, once you're on this side of it, as you now clearly know, you sit and wonder how this happened, and then you think, this didn't happen to me. It is a wider society we live in, and this conditioning of what we perceive, like you said earlier, even before you got married, you knew they were her kids. Yeah. You were conditioned to believe. She goes, why can't you be a father? I don't get it. Why can't you have 50-50? Because you were conditioned to believe that from a young age. Yeah. We are conditioned to believe and fall into this system, so that when we end up here, we remain as a slave to the system. You are financially fleeced throughout the rest of your life, either through CMS, through the family court, through the divorce court. And if you lose everything midway, they've managed to reset you financially, where you start all over again, work hard again, and make sure you keep paying taxes till you're 60. You don't get it. There is some element of that that I can see, which I can't still get my head around.
Yeah.
And you think, how did I not know this? All of this, like when parents sit with, look, I spoke to a lot of Pakistani brothers, yeah? Their parents have said, no, I put my name in my son, my property in my son's name because he was getting married. I was so happy for him, thinking, let's go. Why would someone do that, take that sort of a risk? Because they genuinely are ignorant to this situation that's hiding in plain sight and the damage it can do financially.
Correct. You see, the divorce system here in the UK is a business. It's exactly what you were saying. It's it's a business. The whole divorce system is. I'm sure it's £1 billion industry.
More than a defense budget,
Yeah.
billions annually.
So there you go. This is one of the reasons why they want it to carry on. Unfortunately, they want to.
They want it to
Yeah.
be broken.
Yeah.
No one's going to fix it. Why
Yeah.
fix a broken
It's
system that's generating money?
Yeah. The thing is, we say it's broken, but it's actually not. And the
It's
reason why I say
designed.
that
It is
it's
designed.
designed to financially cripple you so that the government can benefit from it.
And it only cripples the working class more because they have limited funds. And for your
Correct.
kids, you'll carry on. You'll carry on. You'll take a loan out. This is my point. It is when I say it's a broken system, it's not. It is a very well thought. Whoever thought of the family court system, yeah, the divorce laws, all of that, the financial applications, yeah, and the hurdles and barriers that are placed. Because I figured it out. I think that are placed between you and your children, yeah, as a father, someone has sat there and studied human psychology. We talk about the red pill came out in the last 10 years. I think someone has studied the red pill, the blue pill, and the green pill, yeah, many years ago. And based on that study, they created the family court system because they said this is how men will react. Because I was even talking to Sister Sally recently, yeah. Even she said, when you enter the system, it's like every stage of the system, yeah, they keep you in that, starting with your solicitors, barristers, across the whole thing, CMS, the whole lot. They play with your psychology. They keep you in a state of fight or flight. No one eases that pain. You're constantly in that state, yeah. Some people commit suicide because you can't handle it. But when you're in that state and you have a bit of money or you got a job, you're more willing to part with money to stop this, make this go away. Or this idea, you'll see your kids next week, just give you solicit another 5 grand, another 10 grand. You're more conditioned to part with money. So they have designed this system. And like I said, because your children are involved, you got to think about this deeply. Someone sat there, looked at these feelings, yeah? They studied the psychology of a father, a mother, how women react when these things happen, how vindictive they are. That's why mums are incentivized. They've given them the legal aid. They're taking it from government, yeah? Mum's going to carry this on, yeah? So what father now is running around fighting because a man's basic core nature. After that, what do they say? Provide, protect, next one said, you're going to want to protect your kid, innit? Now, you don't physically have to go and fight someone in a cage or whatever, yeah? But you have to go generate some money because you want to see your kid. That primal nurturing instinct, yeah? Someone sat there, pieced all of this out and think, how do we monetize this? How do you monetize basic humanity of any living creature to defend and protect their offspring, yeah, or want to be with their offspring, to create a system around it that can generate money and a society conditioned around it, and sisters happy to engage in damaging their own children. Does that make sense? Because I don't know how to get that out there so people can see it. Do you see what I mean?
They know that a way a man will generally react and
Yes.
respond, and they also know generally how a mother
Will
will
react.
react and respond. So therefore, what they do is they try and show that they're benefiting the mother, but the mother is benefiting in the very short term.
Mother's not benefiting, they're just playing her along.
Yeah,
they're using her.
Benefiting, yes, correct. They're using her. But when I say the word benefit, I mean the benefit in the sense of her mentally feeling good about the fact that she's abusing the father, abusing the children, coercively controlling the children, coercively controlling the father, financially controlling the father being kicked out of his home, not being able to, live in the
They're
home.
incentivizing her. Maybe look, both parties are heartbroken potentially, but then we say heartbroken, yeah. In all communities, including the Asian community now, the statistics have shown and studies have shown, like we've found out now, yeah, Women are initiating the divorce. The women are walking out, so they can't be that hurt.
No.
So they're not hurt.
No.
They're initiating divorce, but they're cashing in the process.
Yeah.
We have to address that.
Yes, because there is a massive, financial incentive for them, and I'm not saying obviously if someone's, they want to part ways, I'm not going to say they should and they shouldn't. That's up to them.
Shit happens. We
Yeah,
get it. Yeah.
But this whole financial incentive should not be there.
Yes.
That should not be
yeah,
there.
but this is what I'm saying. So that goes back to CMS. Financially incentivized to reduce contact.
Yeah.
The family court system, the legal aid, again, the legal aid system right there,
Yeah.
financial incentives to basically play the abuse card.
Correct. So how it works, I was just saying earlier on today, obviously when we're speaking,
Sorry, carry on.
It's like a family tree. So the way to look at it, you've got the politicians, then you've got legislation, the Children Act, which clearly states in there, father's rights abolished. Children Act 19...
it says that. Father's rights are abolished.
Yeah, 1989, I think it is.
Excuse me.
And in this country, I mean, even an animal has rights.
A dog has more rights than a father.
So that surely, that just me saying that for people, viewers that are listening and going to watch this, imagine you as a father don't have rights. Then what does that mean for the grandparents?
Say that again. Say the bit about the Children's Act and the fathers abolished. I just want the youngsters that they need to.
Children Act 1989 has abolished fathers' rights.
Abolished fathers' rights. Try and understand that. Try and let that digest for a minute.
Now, what happens is, so you've got the Children Act, and then from the Children Act, you then have, let's say on the right-hand side, you've got the family court, and on the left-hand side, you've got the child maintenance service.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. So what's happening is the child maintenance service are saying on your gross annual income, not even your net, what you receive, on your gross annual income.
Pre-tax.
Correct.
That's the scam, yeah.
You're going to pay the mother this amount.
That's I found after obviously talking to Sister Sally, that is the only organization that take your income at a value based on pre-tax. The only organization, and just to hammer that message home again, yeah, the CMS, Child Maintenance Services, they work along with government, but they're an independent contractor who make money off that children's money, yeah? Remember that, they make profit.
And they're called DWP, they got Department Work and Pensions.
Department of, yeah.
Yeah, so it's a government body at the end of the day, under another banner.
Who pay that contractor, so basically the DWP pay this contractor to collect child maintenance money, which then, if they incentivize acrimony between the parents and the mother says, yes, do collect and pay, they make 20% off the father, and I think it's 4% off the mother.
Yeah.
Hence, they're making a profit.
Yeah.
Is it in their interest not to have acrimony?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And therefore, what it shows is that they're not serious. Even in law, it says it's about the children's rights. They are not serious about the emotional rights, emotional well-being of the children. That's why you see in Britain, when parents have separated, you see a fatherless Britain. Unfortunately, more often than not, from what I have seen, children either have a very limited contact to no contact. And if they have contact, a lot of it is controlled by the mother. Unfortunately, there is no default in terms of how many nights a father and a child has together. Because if that contact is there, what you will find is that paternal family will have access to those children. And not only that, the children will get the love and the care from that side of the family as well. Mm-hmm. But unfortunately, if you're going to introduce a child 10, 15 years later, for example, when they've grown up,
damage is done.
The connection is never there.
The childhood's gone. That's a fantasy.
Yeah.
On that note, listen, we just go to a quick break. We'll be back shortly.
Brilliant.
Right, we are back after a short break. Just want to give a thanks to the owner for letting us use his home to shoot this podcast. Also, want to give a shout out to the sponsor, Electrical Solutions E4 Limited, who has sponsored this video. Yeah, right, let's go. Carry on. Where were we before we went into the break?
So one of the things I wanted to point out is, so we went through the solicitors, and basically my solicitors.
So just to recap, you were going back and forth with the solicitors. She had legal aid. She was starting to now claim all the abuse stuff.
Correct. So
What happened from there?
what happened is my solicitor told me it's time to make an application to the court.
C100.
C100 was the application, and I made the application. And what I found is the C100 form was putting thoughts in people, was putting thoughts in my head. Like, for example, you put the application in, and it questions you about domestic abuse. Were you abused domestically? Along those lines, I can't remember quite word for word. So what I did is, for example, I tested it by pressing no, and then again it was asking me questions around domestic abuse again, and I thought to myself, what is going on?
This is the online, so you're doing it
It's
online.
the online application. Yeah. I later on realized what they try and do, the family court, is they try to encourage you, or they put thoughts in your mind to think that, make some allegations. Make allegations about the opposite person. Let's make it into a fight.
They coerce you slightly. Yes.
Correct.
Okay.
So it's an adversarial system, is what it is, which actually harms the children.
It's very sad to hear.
The executive of the Family Court Division, Sir Andrew McFarlane, has confirmed that they harm the children. The family courts harm the children, he has said.
But I agree, 100%. Yeah, he's
but
right.
when you go to the courts, they say, we will do what's in the best interest of the child. Well, you can't do what's in the best interest of the child when you've got an adversarial system.
Okay, look. On the basis that, from what we know now and the information, hopefully, that is now getting out there as common knowledge, the family court system has no due diligence or care or anything, frankly, to do with the children. We know that. That we know this now innately. That is a fantasy that if someone says that. Do you see what I'm saying?
The children's rights are being toyed with.
For financial gain.
For financial gain, for the legal system. They're simply being toyed with. And the reason why I say that is because when you make your application to the court, the court application doesn't state, for example, okay, the children have been kept away from you, to the mother. The children have been kept away from their father. It's the children's rights. Why have you kept the children away? And keeping aside, not allowing social workers, family court workers, solicitors involved. Because the minute they get involved, they have their own agenda, their financial gain from it. Yeah. So they don't keep them away. Because at the end of the day, it's not a legal issue. It's ultimately,
family,
it's a family issue here. So what happens is,
so carry on with where you were. So you were in court.
I made an application.
You made the application. You noticed on the form that they were trying to coerce you into making allegations.
Correct.
Kept sending you back to that selection box again.
Correct.
Carry on from there. What happened?
I filled in the application, submitted it, and then what happened is my solicitor basically just checked through it, said, "Yep, that's fine." In other words, I think they just didn't even probably look at it, as far as I'm aware, because he didn't seem to touch on any points I said or anything like that. He just said, "Yes, submit it." Again, I paid him for something that I had done already. I paid him another £500
to fill in a C100.
Yeah, which I did. Yes. And he claimed to have seen it.
Okay, so this is the point in it there. So basically, he didn't fill it in. He charged you £500 to look at it. And just for those who are going through the family court system, do not go to a solicitor or a lawyer. The C100 effectively, like someone said to me, is the information that you give that they fill in, which they then charge you £1,000, £1,500 for. Yeah, it's the information you've already got it. So do not go to a lawyer. Find a good Mackenzie friend and try and work through some of this yourself. Carry on.
Yes, I would always say to dads out there, mums even out there, do not use solicitors. Do not use barristers. Absolutely not. If anything, I would say is get in touch with Disqualified Dads, and we can be rerouted to someone that you can actually benefit from.
Right, we'll have him back on the show, yeah. We'll definitely have him back, yeah. Sorry. So carry on.
No, but on a serious note, mums, dads, I was all on a serious note, very serious. This is, do not get solicitors involved, because they are ultimately looking at abusing you both. You won't even realize it. Some
And your
may
kids.
realize it very soon
They'll
into it.
damage your kids along
Yes,
the way.
and you will damage your kids a lot along the way as well. So anyway, I made my application to the family court system, and the first hearing, I thought, let's see what happens. I didn't realize after when I got to the first hearing that nothing happens in the first hearing. Simply the judge said, right, what's this about? And I thought to myself, hang on a second. You've had this application on your desk for about 3.5 months, and you're asking, what is this application about? So nothing happened. Took the information from my barrister at the time, and then another 6 weeks later, they called an interim hearing for some strange reason.
Right, okay.
So again, I had to pay solicitor, barrister.
Okay, as we're getting into this, so the first hearing, that judge there, potentially, I reckon they're on $2,000 a day, yeah? So that judge there got paid $2,000 to say, whoever here, what's going on, right? You got $2,000. Did you have a barrister that day?
I did.
How much did your barrister charge that day? Let's get into nuts and bolts.
Sure. So the barrister cost me for 1 hour £1,800.
Right, that's £1,800 gone, right? Was your solicitor there?
Solicitor wasn't present, however, did charge me, and ultimately what he charged me for was the documents that I gave. If it was in a bundle, you could call it. He's just stapled the thing for me.
Yeah.
That's basically
how much did that staple? How much did that staple cost?
1,500.
Right. So you were down basically $3,500 for 1 hour for the judge to say, "Sorry, what's your name? Right? What, you ain't seen your kids? No problem. I'll come back to you." Correct. That is the system right there. So when we say making money, it's not like it costs £400-500. They're big chunks. They start eating away at you straight away. Yeah.
Correct.
Big chunks of money. So that's just for the benefit of those who don't understand it. Yeah. That's just the first hearing when nothing has happened. You just go in there and introduce yourself. Cost them $3,500.
Correct.
Carry on.
So the second hearing then
6
took
weeks
place
later.
6 weeks later. The cost was similar because it was once again a 1 hour hearing. And this time the judge applied a bit of pressure, said to the mother, why can't the father see the children? And she basically said it's not safe. The court knew I had unsupervised contact before I went into the court. And so the judge said, is there a family member on your side that can supervise the contact? She said no. The judge said, really? You know.
All right, so he was being, yeah. So
yeah,
the fact that
really,
judge even gave you that was quite good.
Yeah,
right?
She said to the mother, the judge asked through my barrister, do I have? My barrister said, yes, my brother's available to supervise the contact. She said, no, it's not safe. Okay. So she said, contact center only.
Oh, great.
The reason why she said contact center only is because she wanted me financially out of pocket. It cost me almost £100 an hour to see my children. Which
in a contact center.
There was no justification for. However, because by that point I hadn't seen my children for 9 months, I agreed to see them in a contact center, thinking I will use this as evidence for the court to make it easier for them to progress the contact.
So the contact center, as I've said, is part of the family court machine. So we've stripped father of nearly $7,000 with 2 hearings that have achieved nothing. Your barrister and solicitor knew they would achieve nothing. They could have even said to you, on the first hearing, yeah, this is what I'm saying. They could have said to you, Mr. Emine, it's not going to achieve anything. The judge is only going to ask you to introduce yourself. There's no point giving me $2,500 for that, or your solicitor charging $3,500. Just turn up, introduce yourself and leave, and save yourself that money for later on down the line. Why didn't your solicitor or barrister say that?
So,
because they'd be out of pocket.
Yeah, that's right.
So my point is that they could have said that, couldn't they? Yeah, so that's number one. Anyway, so if you push along to where you were now, contact center, you've already lost so much money. Now the family court machine turns it to the next stage of fleecing the father. You give him a little tickle first. You go dangle the carrot a little bit, okay, otherwise you might walk away.
Yeah.
So you give him a little honey trigger. Say, you can see your kids, and that's what I'm saying. The father then thinks, okay, fight, flight. I'm going to see my kid. It's only another £100 an hour. That's when you move on to the contact. So that's when they fleece you next.
Correct. So what happened then is I went to the contact center and saw my children, and the contacts were great in the sense of the
How many times? How many times was this? Once a week? Twice a week?
So I was seeing them once every 2 weeks, because on top of paying all the legal costs, on top of paying the child maintenance, and then living obviously a life that I ultimately have commitments and to commit to, and then having to pay that, it was too much. So I was seeing them once every 2 weeks in the contact center. And basically, then it came a finding of fact, they call it. That hearing was 2.5 days long.
Bloody hell. Sorry, bro. Before you carry on, time to start warming up the food. Fucker. Yeah, start warming up if you want. We'll just do another 5-10 minutes, wrap it up while it's warming up. Yeah, no worries while you're setting up. Sorry, bro. Carry on. So carry on where you were. Don't worry, man. This is a real podcast, real time. There's people in the background, people working. There's other fathers here floating around. So yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah. So basically, what happened then is went to the finding of fact hearing, 2.5 days, and simply the mother's barrister started on me first.
Sorry, just to recap, I'm getting lost. So you were going to the contact centers. Go to the contact centers. How many times were you going to the contact centers?
So between that time, I saw the children 6 times. So I had
in a contact center.
In a contact center.
Once a week, twice a week.
Twice a week.
Space twice a week, yeah.
Sorry, once every 2 weeks. My apologies.
For 2-3 months, you're saying?
Correct, for a period of 2.5 to 3 months, which was till the finding of fact hearing, basically.
Right.
Now, what happened is in between that time, whilst I was seeing my children, they sent me, my solicitor, something called a schedule of allegations, known as Scott schedule.
The Scott schedule, yeah.
So, and she would have got a copy herself. Mm-hmm. She made allegations about me, and I was.
Is this to say, right? So just so I understand and viewers understand, the Scott schedule and the allegations that were made, were they obviously after you put the C-100 in, just to say he can't see the kids because of these allegations and this is what he did, so on, so on, so on.
Correct. So she was trying to justify her reasons
for not giving contact.
Yes, for making allegations, basically.
Right.
And
so she submitted the Scott schedule. What happened from then on? Carry on.
So she submitted the Scott schedule. My solicitor told me that, look, you have to obviously respond, and you have to, this is ultimately an adversarial system, so you need to put your allegations in as well. Basically, once again, encouraging me to go in for a fight. Now, I went in rather on the sort of, not allegations for the sake of making allegations, but stating facts of certain things. One of the things I stated was to the court that the mother would send me abusive messages. I had sent evidence because we had to exchange the evidences. And in the mother's written statement in defense, she told the family court the fact that these swear words and abuse words and things like that was when she gave me her mobile phone to clear her memory. This is what she told the family court in a statement signed to the court.
Sorry, just so I understand. She said to the court the swear words in her phone was put in there by you.
Correct. And she told the court that I was making it seem like I was pretending that it was from her.
And what was the court's initial reaction to that?
Well, what I did is with the courts, when the barrister presented that to me, straight away what I did, I knew that they couldn't be trusted. And I knew, let's see if the mother she had an opportunity to tell the court the truth, but she didn't. So as a result, what I did is I presented my passport along with my visa. And I said, Judge, look, I was out of the country at that time and that date. How is it possible for me to send that?
So you disproved it on the spot?
On the spot, I disproved it. So there was one allegation there, done.
Okay, so I was always under the impression, once you disprove one allegation, all the others lose credibility, especially if the lie was that big.
Yeah. Absolutely not. 100%, I can guarantee you, absolutely not. The first allegation...
So that's that fantasy that I thought that once you disprove one, it's still, it don't matter that you disprove one.
It doesn't matter. And then the very first allegation the mother made, she said to the courts that I've got mental health problems. That was in the first hearing, in fact.
You have, as in you or her?
She said I have, which I don't have, and I never did have.
It's funny, I've been accused of apparently mental health problems. Everyone I seem to meet has been accused of these mental health problems. Yeah, go on.
So what I did is I actually said
she must have had the same handbook.
I said to my barrister, I said at the time, shall I, maybe go to my doctors and get the evidence because I don't. My barrister said, let me ask the court, and the judge said, yes, please. That was because it was the first allegation. Now, I had presented the evidence, clear evidence from the doctor, a letter, everything clear. Now, what I found is when she then made that, obviously the second The second allegation she then made was the fact that I take cannabis, she said to the court. So the barrister said to me, you take cannabis, don't you? I said, that's incorrect. I don't take any form of drugs. I don't drink. I don't smoke. And I also offered to be tested because the court's advisory service, CAFCAS, who are basically social workers, had asked me the question, what do you have to say about the fact that the mothers claim that you take cannabis? And I said to them, well, I'm willing to be tested because I know it's a false allegation.
Is that a common allegation to throw that cannabis or drug card in? Our father's a druggie.
I believe so.
Yeah.
Now that from what I've heard now, and I believe so. Now, as soon as what I noticed is that every time they were making allegations where I could get evidence, where it was possible to get evidence, the court were no longer willing to see the evidence because the court did not ask me, yes, go get yourself tested. Right. And I strongly feel that they did that because one is they saw the first allegation the mother made.
Mother would get caught, and they didn't want to get mother to court. Basically, they were there defending mother's lies.
Correct. So anyway, so what happened is then she had obviously been caught lying about the whole mental health problems, about the drug issue, and then also the fact that she had lied to the court, stating that the abusive messages.
So there's a joke. It says a joke. Do you know how you know if a mother's lying in court?
I don't.
Her lips are moving. Right. We're going to go to a quick break. We'll be back shortly.
Right, go for it.